The only people out on the street that I could see were independent media. There were
foreign
media from South America. South America, mainstream media took a huge interest in this, but prominently absent were mainstream media, CNN, MSNBC. Why?
Why would they not cover something that's never happened before in U.S. history?
Why would they not cover people challenging a U.S. coup and military intervention?
They have covered it all along. Somebody sent me a message. They saw our photo out the window on CNN. Maybe it was just a flash of a photo, but certainly not any coverage.
I mean, if they covered it, they would be stuck arguing the issue. Was this coup legal? What's going on? What's happening in Venezuela? I mean, CNN reported that Guaido won an election in January. Yeah. What? I mean, it's like the fact level is so false that, they would be uncovered. If they covered this, their lies would be shown. So their best bet was to stay away. And only cover us when we get arrested.
Deep complicity. I mean, these mass media groups are deeply complicit in this coup, this failed coup attempt. And it doesn't behoove their broader corporate agenda to actually report the truth.
Explain how that they're deeply complicit in this. Can you give me some?
Well, I mean, what Kevin was just talking about, I mean, they've been publishing just a litany of lies.
Yeah, it's a litany of lies. That's a great word. That's a good phrase.
But it goes to, and this is the way, I mean, we have a very consolidated media. We have like, I think it's 6 major mega media corporations, corporate media. They have what are called interlocking directorates, where the board of directors on these media outlets are also on the boards of these major corporations that are, military, weapons companies,
pharmaceuticals,
mining, whatever, these oil and gas. They profit from the current system, and so they intentionally suppress information that's going to challenge their narrative, that's going to challenge their ability to profit, and so they intentionally misinform this litany of lies. And our argument made so much sense when we talked to people out the window, including the Metropolitan Police, and explained why we were there and what we were hoping for as an outcome. We got support for it when people understood what was going on. So that, it's just part of this whole why people should not watch corporate media.
So tell me, you brought up the police. The night that Monday night, the night that they were coming in to remove you, you and your attorney, Mara, you stopped the raid. That was...
surprised us.
It surprised us. We were out there expecting you to be brought out in shackles. And tell me a little bit about that. I know you've made a statement. You put that up on Facebook. You published a statement. Is there something about that that...
you guys talk about it.
Well, you were the stars of the night.
We gave a little speech to the police.
Well,
we played ping pong with them.
It was
and you guys jumped in once in a while.
It was an eviction order that was on a piece of plain paper with no letterhead, no agency, and signed by no one. And so when they...
No one wanted to put their name on that illegal order.
So when they cut the locks and came in, and prior to that, I was putting signs out the window that says, the U.S. is violating the Vienna Convention, you're following an illegal order, blah, blah, blah. They came in, we decided we would just start chanting, we are here lawfully, you are breaking international law, we are here lawfully. And then we had some exchange with them explaining what was going on, and that if they crossed the threshold, what the consequences of that would be. And I think that they really thought that if they said, you're being evicted, will you walk out voluntarily, that we might actually do it. And they kept asking, will you leave voluntarily? And we just kept saying, no. And then we finally had said everything we wanted to say, we just kind of fell back and we're just silent there. And they shut the doors. They said, we're going to put a perimeter around the building.
We told them, you actually close the door, go back to your superiors and tell them that they should rethink this. And finally, after saying that 3 times, they did that.
Well, because they will be held individually accountable for, obeying unlawful orders and for, really setting off the chain of events that could lead to a world war. I mean, that's what you very clearly told them, and it's true. And, I think they took that seriously.
What are they going to tell their children? I started the World War by breaking international law. Great job, Grandpa.
But the Vienna Convention is clear about some things that went wrong. Article 22 talking about going into an embassy without permission. Article 25 talking about cutting off services. They did all that and more.
Yeah.
No, the U.S. has set very bad precedent, and I hate to think what the results are going to be, and I hope we can find a way as a country to correct our course and put that egg back together again, because the Vienna Convention is essential for foreign policy. I mean, you can't have embassies around the world that aren't protected by the host government. It's just not going to work. I mean, so the U.S. actually used the Vienna Convention when the Iranian Revolution happened. The U.S. sued in the International Court of Justice, raising the Vienna Convention being violated, and they would have won if they had pursued it, but they committed other crimes and decided not to pursue any court decisions because the U.S. was violating other laws and didn't want really any International Court of Justice rulings.
So what next? What are you all going to do now?
I think David was making the point earlier that we have to build on this. I mean,
we have to build on the issues that we raised and the illegality that we challenged, and get together with other groups that have similar interests and in stopping intervention against war, and build a broader movement to continue pressing this issue.
We need to build a movement that creates a political consensus in this country that U.S. coups are no longer acceptable. They have been always a disaster, from the Iranian coup back in 1953 up and through the day. They've always made things worse. It's time to end that policy. And the national consensus needs to say we want to work within the framework of international law. It's time for the United States to be a law-abiding citizen of the world. And that should be the national consensus, and no presidential candidate in the next election should take any other different position. They should be all against this Venezuelan coup. They should be all against violating international law, and that's what should be demanded by the people.
I think additionally it's really important for us to help facilitate an understanding of the deep links between the militarized violence that's happening in communities around the United States,
That's right.
and the usurpation of local processes of democracy, with the appointment of city managers, things like that, that has resulted in the kind of violence that we've seen in places like Flint, Michigan, where, which is frankly genocidal violence. It's targeting brown and black people, and it's creating generational health damage, and that's all part and parcel of what in effect is a coup, a takeover of the democratic processes at a local level that's happening all over our country, and that is no different from the U.S.'s imperialist project abroad. It's a white supremacist project, it's a capitalist imperialist project, and I think there's often, in the movement, we talk about this all the time, is that people have different issues and they're addressed in a disconnected way, but what we're seeing with the violence of this current stage of neoliberal capitalism is that it's acting in similar ways, whether internationally or domestically, and I think tying those struggles together and helping people to understand why fighting against a coup in Venezuela strengthens their fight against the usurpation of their democratic processes here at home and vice versa, is really going to be key to our mobilizing and winning these battles.
You talked about usurpation of local democracies. We see this in the pipeline fights.
Absolutely.
We see this in many other aspects. The police
Mass
force.
incarceration, police violence.
Police.
It's a crazy. The method of operation domestically. It's like the empires come home.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, and the empire economy doesn't work. The empire economy is an economy for the wealthy, not for the common people. And that's true in the U.S. and abroad. So it's racial, economic, environmental injustice that we need to end. I mean, it's time to have that kind of a mass movement that brings all these issues together.
Well, I've held you all for so long, and I really want to thank you again for your time and your comments. Very important moment in history. Is there anything each of you would like to say, a last comment about what you feel you've accomplished, or from a historical context?
I think I said it all.
Yeah, we're just getting started.
Just getting started.
They're going to regret kicking us out of the embassy. Now we're outside organizing.